Across the galaxy, there's a saying that smart hunters know well. Never corner a human when their pack bonds are threatened. The Kethvar learned this lesson the hard way when they decided a small human child would make an excellent prize for their illegal hunting operation. What they didn't count on was the furry, fearless creature that considered that child family. Some bonds transcend species, and some protectors will fight gods themselves to keep their loved ones safe. The emergency beacon screamed through the void of space, its desperate signal cutting through the cosmic silence like a knife. Captain Zaxthara of the Kethvar, hunting vessel Blood Talon, smiled with all 4 rows of her razor-sharp teeth as she watched the distress call appear on her scanner. Her scaled fingers danced across the control panel with practiced ease, her yellow eyes gleaming with predatory satisfaction. Another lost ship, she hissed to her crew, her forked tongue tasting the recycled air of the bridge. And by the readings, it's a small one. Perfect for our collection. The Blood Talon was not just any ship. It was a predator vessel, designed for one purpose: hunting sentient beings across the galaxy for wealthy collectors who paid premium prices for rare specimens. The Kethvar had built their entire economy around this trade, and Captain Zawaxthara was one of their most successful hunters. Her cargo holds had carried everything from the singing crystals of Vega Prime to the shape-shifting pods of the Outer Rim. But, lately, the most valuable prizes were the newer species joining the galactic community, especially the ones called humans. Set intercept course, Zawaxthara commanded, her 6 arms working different controls simultaneously. And prepare the stasis chambers. If we're lucky, we'll find something valuable enough to retire on. The emergency signal led them to a small transport vessel drifting dead in space near the asteroid belt of an unnamed system. The ship was clearly damaged, with scorch marks along its hull and a massive breach in the cargo section. It looked like it had been attacked by pirates and left for dead, exactly the kind of situation that made for easy prey. Scanning for life signs, reported her second-in-command, a smaller Kethvar named Sylvan. His crest of spikes along his skull fluttered with excitement. I'm reading 2 signatures, Captain. Both small, both weak. One appears to be human. ZYXthara's eyes widened. Humans were the newest addition to the galactic community, and specimens were incredibly rare and valuable. They were also reportedly dangerous when threatened, but these readings showed weakness. Perfect conditions for a capture. The other signature? She asked. Unknown species. Small quadruped. Possibly a pet or companion animal. Even better. Collectors loved exotic pairings, especially when they showed bonding behaviors. A human with its companion would fetch enough credits to buy a small moon. Deploy the capture pod, Zawaxthara ordered. Full stun settings. I want them alive and unharmed. The Blood Talon extended its boarding appendage, a mechanical tube that could cut through ship hulls and create an airtight seal. Within minutes, they had breached the damaged transport. Zawaxthara led the boarding party herself, her personal guards flanking her with stun weapons ready. The air inside the transport was thin but breathable, filled with the scent of ozone and fear. They found their prizes in what appeared to be a small cabin. A human child, no more than 8 years old by their species standards, cowered in the corner. She had long brown hair that hung around her face like a curtain, and her green eyes were wide with terror. Her clothes were torn and dirty, and she clutched something small and furry to her chest. Please, the child whispered in the common galactic tongue, her voice shaking. Don't hurt us. My daddy's coming back. He just want to get help. Zawaxthara's smile grew wider. The child was alone except for whatever creature she was holding. Perfect. What's your name, little one? Zawaxthara asked, trying to make her voice sound gentle despite the natural hiss of her species. Maya, the girl said quietly. And this is Badger. She held up the small animal she'd been clutching. It was unlike anything in ZYXthara's extensive database of galactic fauna. About the size of a small dog, but built low to the ground, with powerful claws and distinctive black and white markings on its face. Its small dark eyes watched the Kethvar with an intensity that seemed almost intelligent. Interesting, ZYXthara mused. A bonded pair. The collectors will pay triple for this combination. She gestured to her guards. Stun them both. Gently. We don't want to damage the merchandise. The guards raised their weapons, but something in the small creature's posture made HFY pause. The animal had positioned itself between Maya and the boarding party, its body language radiating attention she'd seen before in cornered predators. But this was just a small pet. What could it possibly do? Badger, no, Maya whispered, as if she understood what her companion was thinking. They're too big. Too many. The creature looked back at her once, and HFY could have sworn she saw something pass between them. Understanding, love, and then determination that seemed far too large for such a small animal. Fire, HFY commanded. The stun bolts lanced out, and Maya crumpled immediately. But the creature called Badger moved faster than anything HFY had ever seen. One moment it was standing protectively over the fallen child. The next it was a blur of claws and fury launching itself at the nearest guard. The HFY warrior was twice the creature's size and armored in combat gear. It should have been no contest. The stun bolt should have dropped the animal instantly. Instead, the guard's scream echoed through the small cabin as Badger's claws found the weak points in his armor with surgical precision. Kill it, HFY shouted, all pretense of gentle capture abandoned. But Badger was no longer where their weapons were aimed. The creature moved like liquid violence, flowing from one target to the next with a ferocity that defied its size. It seemed to understand exactly how to hurt the HFY, targeting joints and sensory organs with the precision of a trained warrior. A second guard went down, clutching his shredded throat. A third stumbled backward, his weapon arm hanging useless. In less than 30 seconds, half of HFY's elite boarding party was either down or retreating. What is that thing? Sylvan gasped, his weapon shaking in his hands. HFY didn't answer. She was too busy trying to understand what she was seeing. The creature wasn't just fighting. It was winning. Against trained soldiers with superior weapons and armor, this small furry animal was systematically destroying her crew with a combination of speed, intelligence, and absolute fearlessness. Badger paused for a moment, standing over Maya's unconscious form, its dark eyes fixed on HFY, and she felt a chill run down her spine. There was intelligence there. Cold, calculating intelligence that was rapidly working out how to kill everyone in the room. Full retreat, she ordered, her voice cracking slightly. Back to the ship. Now. But, Captain, the specimens, now. HFY screamed. Her remaining crew stumbled backward through the boarding tube, but Badger didn't pursue. Instead, it remained motionless beside Maya, watching them go with those unnerving dark eyes. Only when the boarding tube detached did it turn its attention to the unconscious child, gently nudging her face with its nose. Back on the blood talon, HFY tried to process what had just happened. She'd lost half her boarding party to a creature the size of a house pet. It was impossible. It was humiliating. It was also the most dangerous thing she'd ever encountered. Captain, Sylvan said hesitantly, perhaps we should leave. Find easier prey. HFY's pride warred with her practical nature. The smart thing would be to cut their losses and run. But the potential profit from a human child was enormous, and she couldn't afford to return empty-handed again. Her reputation was already suffering from several failed hunts. No, she decided. We take them, but we do it smart this time. She turned to her weapons officer. Prep the neural disruptor. Full power. We'll stun everything on that ship from here, then collect the pieces. Captain, that might kill them. Better dead specimens than no specimens, HFY snarled. And anything that can fight like that creature deserves to be put down anyway. The neural disruptor was a weapon designed for mass incapacitation. It sent waves of energy that overwhelmed the nervous systems of most sentient species, causing instant unconsciousness without the accuracy requirements of individual stun weapons. At full power, it could affect an entire ship. Disruptor charged and ready, the weapons officer reported. Fire. The energy wave pulsed out from the blood talon, washing over the damaged transport vessel. On the scanner, HFY watched the two life signs flicker and fade as the neural disruptor took effect. Direct hit. Both life signs show unconsciousness. HFY smiled grimly. Prepare a second boarding party. Full armor this time, and bring the stasis containers. We're not taking any more chances. But, as her crew prepared for the second boarding action, none of them noticed the small indicator light that had begun blinking on Maya's unconscious form. A medical monitor built into her clothing, designed to activate when she was in extreme danger. The device was already sending a priority signal to every human ship in the system, along with a simple message that would change everything. Child in danger. Badger protocols activated. Immediate assistance required. In the depths of space, that signal reached the sensor array of the UES Harmony, a human exploration vessel conducting peaceful surveys in the outer system. Captain Sarah Chun was reviewing mineral reports when her communications officer's voice cut through the bridge chatter. Captain, we're receiving an emergency signal. Priority Alpha. It's a child protection alert. Chen's coffee cup hit the deck as she spun her chair toward the communication station. What's the location? Inner asteroid belt. The signal includes a species identifier. Honey badger. The bridge went silent. Every human present knew what that meant. Honey badgers weren't just animals to humans. They were symbols of fearless protection, creatures that would fight anything regardless of size or odds to defend what they considered theirs. And if a honey badger had bonded with a human child, that changed everything. How long to intercept? Chen asked, her voice deadly calm. 18 minutes at maximum burn. All stop on current mission. Set course for the signal. Battle stations. Captain, should we call for backup? Chen's smile was cold as winter space. No need. It's just a honey badger and a little girl who need help. How dangerous could the situation possibly be? She had no idea that across human space, similar conversations were happening on dozens of ships. The child protection alert had gone out on all frequencies, and the species identifier had triggered something primal in every human who received it. By the time the Blood Talon's second boarding party was ready to deploy, they had less than 15 minutes before the first human warship would arrive. And Maya was already starting to wake up. Maya's eyes fluttered open to the sound of metal being torn apart. Her head throbbed from the neural disruptor. And, for a moment, she couldn't remember where she was. Then, she saw Badger, and everything came flooding back. Her honey badger was methodically destroying something near the breach in their ship's hull. Whatever the aliens had used to board their vessel was now a twisted mess of metal and sparking electronics. Badger's powerful claws worked with mechanical precision, severing cables and crushing delicate components. Badger, Maya whispered, her voice hoarse. What are you doing? The honey badger paused in his work and looked back at her. His dark eyes held an intelligence that most people missed, an awareness that went far beyond simple animal instinct. He chittered softly, a sound she'd learned meant he was planning something. Maya struggled to sit up, her small hands pressing against the cold deck plating. Through the damaged hull, she could see the alien ship attached to theirs like some kind of mechanical parasite. Lights moved inside it, and she could hear voices speaking in that horrible hissing language. They're coming back, aren't they? She asked. Badger's response was to return to his sabotage work, but with increased urgency. Maya watched him tear through what looked like some kind of control system, and suddenly, she understood. He was making sure the aliens couldn't use their boarding tube again. The metal around the breach began to glow red-hot as Badger's claws generated friction. Sparks showered down around him, but he ignored them completely. Maya had seen him work before, had watched him tear through locked doors and steel cages when other animals needed help at the research station where her father worked. But this was different. This time, he wasn't just being stubborn or protective. This time, he was being tactical. A new sound echoed through the ship, different from the tearing metal. It was rhythmic, mechanical, cutting. They're making a new hole, Maya realized. Badger stopped his work and tilted his head, listening. Then, he looked at Maya with an expression she recognized. It was the same look he got when he was about to do something that would make her father very angry. No, Maya said firmly. You can't fight all of them. There are too many. But Badger was already moving, flowing through the damaged cabin with that peculiar low-slung gait that could explode into terrifying speed at any moment. He positioned himself near where the new cutting sounds were loudest, his body coiled like a spring. Maya crawled after him, her legs still shaky from the neural blast. Badger, please. Let's just hide. Daddy will come. The honey badger looked at her once, and Maya saw something in his eyes that made her throat tight. Love. Absolute, unwavering love. The kind of love that would fight the universe itself to keep her safe. The cutting sound stopped. For a moment, everything was silent except for the hum of life support systems and Maya's rapid breathing. Then, a section of the hull glowed cherry red and fell inward with a clang. The aliens that came through this time were different from the first group. They wore heavier armor, carried bigger weapons, and moved with the careful precision of soldiers who'd learned to respect their enemy. 6 of them dropped through the new breach, their reptilian heads swiveling as they searched for targets. "Where is the small creature?" one of them hissed. "Sensors show it should be here." "Spread out," another commanded. "Check all corners. And watch for—" He never finished the sentence. Badger erupted from beneath a fallen piece of hull plating like a furry missile, his claws extended and his teeth bared. But this time, he didn't go for the obvious targets. This time, he went for their weapons. The first alien's rifle was sliced in half before he could even register the attack. The second managed to fire once, but the stun bolt went wide as Badger's claws severed the power coupling. In seconds, 3 of the 6 boarding party members were disarmed and trying to track a target that moved like liquid chaos. "There," one of them shouted, pointing his weapon at what he thought was Badger. But the honey badger was already gone, flowing around the alien's legs and up his back with climbing claws that found purchase in armor joints. The alien screamed as Badger reached his helmet, claws seeking the delicate sensor arrays that Kethvar used for enhanced vision. Maya watched in fascination and horror as her companion systematically destroyed the boarding party's ability to fight effectively. He didn't kill them, she realized. He could have, but he didn't. Instead, he targeted their equipment, their mobility, their confidence. It was like watching a master craftsman at work, if that craftsman happened to be a 30-pound ball of concentrated fury. "Fall back," the lead alien commanded, his voice distorted by a damaged helmet speaker. "Fall back to the ship." But when they tried to retreat through their new breach, they found their path blocked. Badger had positioned himself directly in the opening, his compact body filling the space like a cork in a bottle. His dark eyes dared them to try to get past him. "Move it aside," one alien demanded, raising a backup weapon. "You try moving it aside." Another snapped back, his armor scored with claw marks. "That thing fights like a demon." Maya watched the standoff with growing amazement. 6 trained soldiers, armed and armored, being held at bay by her honey badger. It should have been impossible, but there they were, none of them willing to be the first to try getting past Badger's claws. That's when they heard the new sound. It came from outside the ship, transmitted through the hull plating as a deep, resonant vibration. At first, Maya thought it might be an engine, but then it resolved into something else entirely. A horn. A ship's horn, but not the kind used by the aliens. This was different, deeper, more purposeful. The aliens heard it too, and their body language changed instantly. Fear. Maya could smell it on them, a sharp chemical scent that cut through the recycled air. "Captain," one of them spoke into a communication device. "We have a problem. There's another ship approaching." The response was immediate and panicked. "Human ship. Full tactical configuration. We need to leave now." But the specimens, leave them. All units returned to ship immediately. The aliens looked at each other, then at Badger, then back at each other. The honey badger hadn't moved from his position in the breach, and his posture suggested he had no intention of moving. "Ever. How do we get past it?" one of them whispered. "Maybe if we all rushed at once. You first." Maya almost giggled despite her fear. The fierce alien warriors were afraid of her honey badger. But then she remembered what they'd said about a human ship, and hope bloomed in her chest. "Daddy," she whispered. The vibration through the hull grew stronger, and suddenly, Maya could see lights through the gaps in the asteroid field outside. Not the cold blue-white of the alien ship, but the warm yellow-white of human vessels. And they were getting closer. Badger chittered once, a sound Maya had learned meant satisfaction. He'd done what he set out to do. He'd kept her safe until help arrived. The aliens were getting desperate now. Their ship was clearly preparing to leave, and they were trapped in the damaged transport with an increasingly impatient honey badger blocking their exit. "Move." One of them finally shouted and charged directly at Badger. What happened next was so fast Maya almost missed it. Badger flowed to one side like water, let the alien pass, then followed him through the breach before the others could react. Maya heard sounds of conflict from inside the alien ship, followed by alarm klaxons and more shouting. The remaining 5 aliens looked at each other in dismay. Did that creature just board our ship? One asked. I think so. Should we follow it? You follow it. I'm staying right here. The lights outside were getting brighter now, and Maya could make out the sleek lines of a human vessel. It was smaller than the alien ship, but somehow more threatening, all clean angles and purposeful design. As she watched, weapons ports opened along its hull like sleepy eyes awakening. The alien ship's engines suddenly roared to life. Through the breach, Maya could see the aliens scrambling to detach from the damaged transport. But something was wrong. Instead of the smooth undocking they'd clearly planned, the separation was rough and uncontrolled. What's happening? One of the stranded aliens demanded, speaking into his communicator. The creature, came the panicked response. It's in engineering. It's destroying everything. Maya smiled. Badger had always been good at finding the most important things to break. The human ship was close enough now that Maya could see markings on its hull. HFY Harmony, and beneath that, the distinctive logo of the Human Exploration Service. Relief flooded through her as she realized these were the good guys, not pirates or worse. A new voice echoed through the damaged transport, carried by speakers that hadn't been there before. This is Captain Sarah Chun of the HFY Harmony. Any humans aboard the damaged vessel, please respond. Maya's voice stuck in her throat for a moment. Then, remembering her father's lessons about emergency procedures, she found the strength to speak. This is Maya Patterson. I'm here. My daddy's ship got attacked, and there are aliens trying to take me. Maya, this is Captain Chun. Are you hurt? No, ma'am. But the aliens hurt some of their own people trying to catch me, and now Badger is on their ship breaking things. There was a pause. Badger. My honey badger. He's protecting me. Another pause, longer this time. When Captain Chin spoke again, her voice carried a warmth that made Maya feel safe for the first time since the attack. Maya, honey, I need you to listen carefully. We're going to get you out of there, but first I need you to call Badger back to you. Can you do that? Maya looked at the 5 aliens still trapped in her ship. They were huddled together now, their weapons lowered, clearly more afraid of what was happening on their own vessel than of one small human child. Badger, Maya called out. Come back. The good people are here. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, a familiar chittering sound echoed through the breach, followed by the sound of something small and fast moving through metal corridors. Badger appeared in the opening like a furry missile in reverse, flying through the air to land next to Maya with perfect precision. He was covered in what looked like alien electronics, small pieces of circuitry and wiring stuck to his fur like technological confetti. His dark eyes were bright with satisfaction, and Maya could swear he was grinning. Good boy, she whispered, wrapping her arms around him. You did so good. Behind them, the alien ship was listing badly, sparks and smoke pouring from its damaged sections. The 5 stranded aliens watched their vessel struggle to maintain course, their expressions a mixture of awe and horror. What did that thing do? One of them whispered. Captain Chin's voice came through the speakers again. Alien vessel, this is the HFY Harmony. You have 60 seconds to surrender and prepare to be boarded, or we will open fire. Maya looked out at the human ship and saw that it had moved into a perfect firing position. The weapon ports were fully open now, revealing the dark mouths of plasma cannons that could probably vaporize the alien vessel in seconds. But she also noticed something else. More lights in the distance. Lots more lights. Captain, she called out. Are those more human ships? That's right, Maya. When we got your distress signal, we called for backup. There are 12 human vessels converging on your position. The 5 aliens looked at each other with dawning horror. Maya almost felt sorry for them. Almost. Surrender, the lead alien said into his communicator. All units surrender. Do not engage the human vessels. The response from their ship was immediate. Acknowledged. Shutting down weapons and engines. As Maya watched, the alien vessel went dark except for emergency lighting. It hung in space like a wounded animal, no longer threatening, but not quite helpless either. Maya, Captain Chin's voice was gentle now. We're going to dock with your ship and get you out of there. Is Badger calm? Maya looked down at her honey badger. He was sitting at her feet, grooming alien electronics out of his fur with complete composure. He looked about as calm as she'd ever seen him. Yes, ma'am. He's fine now. Good. And Maya? Your father is going to be so proud of both of you. Maya's eyes filled with tears she hadn't realized she'd been holding back. Is Daddy okay? He's on the UES Providence, about 2 hours out. He's been worried sick about you. As the human rescue ship prepared to dock, Maya looked at the 5 aliens who were still huddled together in her damaged ship. They no longer seemed threatening. They just seemed sad and defeated. What's going to happen to them? She asked. That's up to the authorities, Captain Chen replied. But Maya? They picked the wrong child to mess with. And they definitely picked the wrong honey badger. Maya smiled and hugged Badger tighter. Through the hull, she could feel the gentle vibrations of the human ship docking. Soon she'd be safe, and Daddy would hold her again, and this whole nightmare would be over. But as she looked at Badger, still calmly grooming electronics from his fur, she realized something important. She hadn't been helpless. Even when it seemed like the universe was against her, she'd had a protector who would fight anything to keep her safe. And now she knew that her entire species felt the same way. The docking clamps engaged with a solid thunk, and Maya heard human voices on the other side of the airlock. She was going home. The airlock hissed open with a sound Maya had never been so happy to hear. The first person through was a tall woman in a crisp blue uniform with captain's stripes on her shoulders. She had kind eyes and graying hair pulled back in a practical ponytail, and she moved with the confident stride of someone used to being in charge. Maya, Captain Chun asked gently, kneeling down to the little girl's eye level. I'm Sarah. Are you hurt at all? Maya shook her head, suddenly shy. Behind Captain Chun came 3 more crew members, including a medic with a scanner and a security officer who immediately positioned himself between Maya and the captured aliens. This is Badger, Maya said quietly, indicating the honey badger who sat calmly beside her. He saved me. Captain Chin studied the honey badger with professional interest. Badger looked back at her with those dark, intelligent eyes, and Maya could swear something passed between them. Understanding, maybe. Or respect. Hello, Badger, Captain Chun said seriously. Thank you for taking care of Maya. Badger chittered once and began grooming his paw, apparently satisfied that these new humans were acceptable. Maya, the medic said, approaching with his scanner. I'm Dr. Walsh. I need to check if you're hurt, okay? It won't take long. As the doctor ran his scanner over her, Maya watched Captain Chin approach the 5 captured aliens. They looked even smaller now, huddled together in their damaged armor. Without their weapons and their ship, they seemed almost pitiful. I am Captain Zwax Thara of the Kethvar, the lead alien said, her voice subdued. I formally request prisoner of war status under Galactic law. Captain Chin's expression didn't change. You're not prisoners of war. You're pirates who attempted to kidnap a child. There's a significant difference. We are licensed hunters. We have papers. You have papers that authorize the hunting and capture of sentient beings for sale. Captain Chin's voice carried a dangerous edge that made Maya glad the captain was on her side. The alien leader fell silent, apparently realizing that admitting to having such papers might not help her case. Doctor, how is she? Captain Chin asked, turning back to Maya. Physically unharmed, Dr. Walsh reported. Some minor stress indicators and dehydration, but nothing serious. She's a tough little one. Maya had to be tough, Maya said quietly. Daddy always said space was dangerous, and I had to be ready for anything. Your daddy was right, Captain Chin agreed. And it looks like you and Badger were ready for quite a lot. Over the ship's communication system, another voice crackled through. Captain, this is Commander Rodriguez on the Defiant. We have the alien vessel secured. You're going to want to see what we found in their cargo hold. Captain Chin's expression darkened. On my way, Doctor, prepare Maya and her companion for transfer to the Harmony. I want them somewhere safe while we process this scene. What did they find? Maya asked, but Captain Chun was already heading for the airlock. Dr. Walsh knelt beside Maya and spoke gently. Sometimes bad people do things we don't need to know about, sweetheart. The important thing is that you're safe now. As they prepared to transfer to the Harmony, Maya looked around the damaged cabin one more time. It had been her home for 3 weeks while Daddy worked on the mining station. Now it was just twisted metal and broken dreams. Will Daddy's ship be okay? She asked. We'll see what we can do, Dr. Walsh said. But, Maya, ships can be fixed or replaced. Little girls and their brave honey badgers are irreplaceable. Badger had climbed onto Maya's lap for the transfer, and she could feel his warm weight settling against her. He was tired, she realized. All that fighting and protecting had worn him out, but he'd never let it show while she was in danger. Good boy, she whispered into his fur. You can rest now. The transfer to the Harmony was smooth and quick. Maya found herself in a clean, bright corridor that smelled like recycled air and human food. It was amazing how comforting familiar smells could be after hours of breathing alien atmosphere. Maya, would you like to see the bridge? Captain Chen asked, returning from her inspection of the alien vessel. Her expression was grim, but she smiled when she looked at Maya. Really? Daddy never lets me on the bridge when he's working. Well, I think you've earned a special exception today. The bridge of the Harmony was everything Maya had imagined a real starship bridge would be. Curved walls lined with displays showing star charts and sensor readings. Officers at various stations monitoring the space around them. And, in the center, the captain's chair with its commanding view of everything. Lieutenant Kim, show Maya how the sensor array works, Captain Chen instructed. But, first, Maya, I need to tell you something important. Maya looked up at the captain, suddenly, worried by her serious tone. Your father is safe, Captain Chen said quickly, seeing Maya's expression. He's on his way here right now. But, when we searched the alien ship, we found other people. People who had been captured like they tried to capture you. Are they okay? Most of them are. Thanks to Badger's sabotage, their stasis systems failed, and we were able to wake everyone up safely. 17 people from 8 different species, all kidnapped, and being transported to be sold. Maya felt sick. They were going to sell me? Captain Chun knelt down to Maya's level again. They were going to try, but they made a big mistake. They messed with a human child and her honey badger. And now every human ship in this sector knows about it. Through the bridge's main view screen, Maya could see the results of that knowledge. Human vessels surrounded the alien ship like protective shepherds. Some were military vessels with sharp, aggressive lines. Others were cargo haulers or exploration ships that had answered the emergency call. But all of them flew the same flag, and all of them had come when a child was in danger. Why so many ships? Maya asked. Lieutenant Kim looked up from his sensor station. Because that's what humans do, Maya. When one of ours is in trouble, especially a kid, we all come running. But some of these ships came from really far away, Maya protested, reading the registry information scrolling across one of the displays. The Steadfast is from the Rigel colonies. That's like 6 months' travel from here. Captain Chun and Lieutenant Kim exchanged glances. Maya, how long do you think you were unconscious from that neural disruptor? Captain Chun asked gently. Maya thought about it. Maybe an hour? 15 minutes, Dr. Walsh said from the bridge entrance, where he'd been quietly monitoring. You were only unconscious for 15 minutes. But then, how did all these ships, FDL communication, Captain Chen explained. Your distress beacon didn't just call for help locally. It went out on every human frequency in the galaxy. And when the automated systems read child in danger and honey badger protocols, every human ship captain in 3 sectors dropped what they were doing and headed here at maximum burn. Maya stared at the view screen, trying to process what she was seeing. Ships from across human space, all converging on her location because she and Badger had needed help. The New Horizons came from the Centauri Research Station, Lieutenant Kim continued. That's Captain Martinez. She's got 2 daughters about your age. The iron will diverted from a supply run to the outer colonies, another bridge officer added. Captain Thompson's granddaughter has a pet ferret. Says he couldn't let anything happen to another little girl with a furry friend. And the retribution, Captain Chun pointed to a sleek warship taking position near the captured alien vessel. That's Captain Stone. He specializes in hunting pirates and slavers. When he heard about the honey badger protocols, he broke 3 speed records getting here. Maya looked down at Badger, who was curled up in her lap, apparently asleep. What are honey badger protocols? Dr. Walsh chuckled. It's not an official military term, sweetheart. It's just what we call the emergency response when a honey badger and a human child are in danger together. Honey badgers are famous on Earth for being fearless protectors. They'll fight anything, no matter how big, to defend what they consider family. When humans heard that a little girl had a honey badger companion, every parent in the galaxy understood exactly what that meant. That if anyone hurt you, they'd have to go through Badger first, Lieutenant Kim added. And, after seeing what he did to those alien soldiers, I think that's a fight most people would rather avoid. Captain Chun checked her chronometer. Maya, your father should be here in about an hour. Would you like to help us figure out what to do with our alien friends? Maya thought about the 5 defeated Kethvar still sitting in Daddy's damaged ship. They tried to hurt her and take her away from everything she loved. But they'd also been completely outmatched by her honey badger. And now they were prisoners on ships they'd never seen before, surrounded by humans they clearly feared. What usually happens to people who try to steal kids? Maya asked. Well, officially, they get turned over to the Galactic Justice Authority for trial and sentencing, Captain Chen said. Kidnapping charges, especially involving a child, usually mean decades in prison. But Maya sensed there was more. Captain Chen smiled grimly. But there's also the matter of what happened to their ship. Badger did quite a number on their engines and life support systems. It's going to take weeks of repairs before they can even maintain orbit safely. What's your point, Captain? Maya asked, sounding more adult than her 8 years. My point is that we could turn them over for trial, and they'll spend 20 years in prison. Or we could offer them an alternative. Maya looked out at the damaged alien ship, then down at Badger, then back at Captain Chun. What kind of alternative? Community service. They spend the next 5 years working with human rescue services, helping us track down and shut down other slaving operations. They use their knowledge of the illegal hunting trade to save other people from going through what those 17 prisoners went through. It was a clever solution, Maya realized. Instead of just punishing the aliens, it would turn them into tools for preventing the same crimes from happening to others. And if they refuse, then they go to prison, and we hunt down the slaving operations ourselves. It just takes longer, and more people get hurt in the meantime. Maya considered this while watching the ships position themselves around the alien vessel. So much firepower, so many people, all because she and Badger had needed help. It made her feel small and important at the same time. Can I talk to them? Captain Chen raised an eyebrow. Maya, you don't have to face them again if you don't want to. I want to. A few minutes later, Maya found herself back aboard Daddy's damaged ship, this time flanked by Captain Chun and 2 security officers. The 5 Kethvar looked up as she entered, their expressions unreadable. Hello, Maya said politely. I'm sorry your ship got broken. The alien captain, HFY, stared at her in apparent confusion. You apologize? For what your creature did to us? Badger was protecting me, Maya explained patiently. That's what honey badgers do. But I'm still sorry you got hurt. HFY looked at her crew, then back at Maya. Child, do you understand what we intended to do with you? You were going to sell me to people who collect other people, Maya said matter-of-factly. Because you thought I was valuable and helpless. And you feel sympathy for us. Maya thought about that. I feel sorry that you thought hurting people was okay. And I feel sorry that you had to learn about honey badgers the hard way. Daddy always says that understanding comes easier when it doesn't involve claws and teeth. One of the other aliens made a sound that might have been laughter. Your father sounds wise. He is. He's also really good at fixing things that are broken. Maya looked around the damaged cabin, then back at the aliens. Captain Chen says you have a choice. Prison, or helping fix the broken things in the galaxy. HFY followed Maya's gaze to the twisted metal around them. And you think we should choose to help? I think you should choose not to hurt any more kids. How you do that is up to you. The alien captain was quiet for a long moment. Then, she looked directly at Maya with those unsettling yellow eyes. If we choose to help, would your companion? She glanced nervously toward where Badger was visible through the breach. Would he accept that we were no longer enemies? Maya considered this question seriously. Badger doesn't stay mad at people who stop being threats. He's very practical that way. As if summoned by his name, Badger appeared in the breach between the ships. He looked at the 5 aliens with calm assessment, then chittered once and began grooming his paw. I think that means you're forgiven, Maya translated. As long as you don't try to hurt anyone else. Captain Chen stepped forward. Captain HFY, what's your decision? The alien leader looked at her crew, at the damaged ship around them, at the human warships visible through the breach, and, finally, at Maya and her honey badger. We choose to help, she said quietly. And, perhaps we can learn something about the kind of bond that makes a small creature fight 6 armed soldiers to protect a child. Maya smiled. Badger could teach you about that. He's very good at protecting people. Through the ship's communication system, a new voice crackled to life. This is the UES Providence requesting permission to dock. I have one very worried father aboard who would like to hug his daughter. Maya's heart leaped. Daddy, Captain Chen smiled. Permission granted, Providence. Docking Bay 2. As they prepared to transfer back to the Harmony for the reunion, Maya looked one more time at the 5 aliens who would now spend years helping instead of hurting. Thank you, HFY said as Maya passed. For showing mercy we did not earn. Everyone deserves a second chance, Maya replied. Daddy taught me that too. Outside, more human ships continued to arrive, bringing the total to nearly 20 vessels. They came from research stations and mining colonies, from patrol routes and exploration missions, from every corner of human space. All because a little girl and her honey badger had needed help. Maya picked up Badger and held him close as they walked toward the docking bay where Daddy was waiting. The honey badger purred softly, a sound like distant thunder that meant contentment and safety. Good boy, Badger, Maya whispered. You brought Daddy home. But, as she looked out at the constellation of human ships surrounding them, Maya realized that Badger had done something even more important than that. He'd shown the galaxy what humans were capable of when their families were threatened. And that was a lesson the universe would not soon forget. Maya had barely stepped through the airlock when strong arms swept her up in the tightest hug she'd ever received. Dr. James Patterson held his daughter like she might disappear if he loosened his grip, and Maya could feel him trembling as he buried his face in her hair. Maya, baby, I'm so sorry, he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. I should never have left you alone. I should have, Daddy, it's okay, Maya interrupted, squeezing him back just as tightly. Badger took care of me. And now there are nice people everywhere. Dr. Patterson pulled back to look at his daughter, his hands framing her face as he searched for any sign of injury. His usually neat beard was unkempt, his clothes rumpled, and his eyes were red with exhaustion and worry. Maya had never seen her calm, collected scientist father look so shaken. Are you hurt? I'm fine, Daddy. Really? Maya squirmed in his arms until she could reach down and scoop up Badger, who had been patiently sitting at their feet. Look, Badger protected me from all the bad aliens, and then the nice ship people came to help. Dr. Patterson looked down at the honey badger with an expression of profound gratitude. Badger, I owe you everything. The honey badger chittered once and began grooming his paw, apparently considering the debt settled. Captain Chen approached them with a gentle smile. Dr. Patterson, I'm Captain Sarah Chun. We spoke over the comm, Captain. Dr. Patterson stood, settling Maya on his hip. I can't thank you enough. When I got the distress signal and realized what had happened, he swallowed hard. I've never been so terrified in my life. You raised a remarkable daughter, Doctor. And you chose an exceptional companion for her. Dr. Patterson looked at Badger with new respect. I adopted him from a wildlife rescue when Maya was 4. The handlers said he was too aggressive for most families, but Maya walked right up to his enclosure, and he went calm as a lamb. They've been inseparable ever since. Badger knew I needed him, Maya added matter-of-factly. Just like he knew the bad aliens were bad. Captain Chun exchanged glances with Dr. Patterson. Doctor, could we speak privately for a moment? Maya, would you like Lieutenant Kim to show you how our navigation computer works? Maya's eyes lit up. Can Badger see too? Of course. As Maya was led away to explore the bridge, Captain Chun guided Dr. Patterson to a small conference room adjacent to the command center. Through the transparent aluminum windows, dozens of human ships were visible, their running lights creating a constellation of protection around the damaged transport. Doctor, I need to brief you on what we discovered when we boarded the alien vessel. Captain Chen began. It's not pleasant. Dr. Patterson's jaw tightened. Tell me. The ship was a slaver vessel. They had 17 sentient beings in stasis chambers, all kidnapped from various colonies and trade stations. The conditions. Captain Chen shook her head. They were preparing to sell them at auction. Your daughter would have been the prize item. Dr. Patterson's hands clenched into fists. How long before the trial? That's what I need to discuss with you. The Galactic Justice Authority wants to prosecute, but there's a complication. The alien captain and her crew have requested an alternative sentencing arrangement. Instead of prison, they want to work with human authorities to dismantle other slaving operations. You're asking for my opinion on whether the people who tried to kidnap my daughter should go to prison? Captain Chen held up a hand. I'm telling you because Maya already gave them her answer. She spoke with them directly and recommended they be allowed to help instead of just being punished. Dr. Patterson stared at her. Maya talked to them. Why would you allow that? Because she asked to, and because, frankly, she handled it better than most adults would have. Captain Chun activated a small holographic recorder. Would you like to see? The recording showed Maya's conversation with the alien captain, her calm explanation about second chances, and the nature of protective bonds. Dr. Patterson watched his 8-year-old daughter negotiate with alien kidnappers and felt his heart swell with pride and terror in equal measure. She's extraordinary, Captain Chen said quietly. She gets that from her mother, Dr. Patterson replied, his voice soft. Sarah would have handled it exactly the same way. Your wife was colony ship accident 3 years ago. Maya barely remembers her, but she inherited Sarah's gift for seeing the best in people. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, watching through the windows as the rescue fleet maintained its protective formation. Doctor, there's something else you should know, Captain Chen continued. The response to Maya's distress signal has created something of a situation. What kind of situation? Well, when 23 human ships drop everything and converge on one location because a child is in danger, other species tend to notice. We're getting inquiries from governments, trade councils, even the Galactic Defense Force. Everyone wants to know what honey badger protocols actually means. Dr. Patterson chuckled despite himself. And what are you telling them? The truth. That humans take the protection of children very seriously, especially when those children have bonded with Earth animals known for fearless defense of their families. And how are they responding to that? Captain Chen's smile was wolfish, with a great deal more respect for human territorial warnings. Apparently, the sight of your daughter's companion systematically dismantling a boarding party of armed soldiers made quite an impression. Through the conference room speakers, Maya's delighted laughter echoed from the bridge as she apparently discovered something fascinating about the navigation system. Captain, what happens now? Dr. Patterson asked. The transport is destroyed, the mining station assignment is finished, and Maya's been through trauma that no child should experience. That's up to you, Doctor. But I have a suggestion. I'm listening. The Earth Colonial Administration has been looking for qualified xenobiologists to work with their new interspecies cooperation initiative. It's based on Luna, completely safe, and they're specifically interested in people who understand the bonding relationships between humans and Earth animals. Dr. Patterson raised an eyebrow. Are you offering me a job? I'm suggesting that your expertise might be valuable in helping other species understand why humans responded to today's events the way we did. And Maya's experience, difficult as it was, gives her insights that could help develop better protection protocols for all children in space. Before Dr. Patterson could respond, an urgent chime sounded through the ship's communication system. Captain Chun to the bridge immediately, came Lieutenant Kim's voice. We have multiple new contacts dropping out of FTL. Captain Chun and Dr. Patterson rushed to the bridge, where they found Maya standing next to the sensor station with Badger in her arms, staring at the main view screen with wide eyes. Captain, Lieutenant Kim reported, we have 15 new vessels approaching. Not human. The view screen showed a mixed fleet of alien ships, representing at least 6 different species. They approached slowly, their weapons powered down, but their formations clearly organized. "Kethvar ships?" Captain Chen asked. "Negative. These are, well, it looks like a diplomatic convoy. We're being hailed by the lead vessel." On screen, the view screen shifted to show a stately alien with crystalline features and robes that seemed to shimmer with inner light. Dr. Patterson recognized the species immediately. "Greetings, human vessels. I am Ambassador Veltar of the Crystalline Concord. We request permission to approach and extend formal greetings to the human child and her protective companion." Captain Chen looked at Dr. Patterson, who shrugged. "Maya, what do you think?" Maya considered this seriously. Are they nice aliens or bad aliens? Ambassador Veltar's crystalline features somehow managed to convey amusement. "Young human, we are what your people might call curious aliens. We have traveled far to witness the bond that inspired 23 of your vessels to respond to a single distress call. You want to meet Badger?" Indeed. Stories of the small Earth creature that defeated trained soldiers and disabled a war vessel have spread throughout local space. Many species wish to understand this phenomenon. Dr. Patterson stepped forward. "Ambassador, I appreciate your interest, but my daughter has been through a traumatic experience." "Daddy, it's okay," Maya interrupted. "I think they just want to understand how love works." The simple wisdom of that statement left the bridge silent for a moment. "Ambassador," Captain Chen said finally, "you may approach. But understand that if you pose any threat to the child or her companion, you will answer to every human ship in this system." "We would expect nothing less, Captain. The protective instincts you have displayed are precisely what we hope to learn about." As the diplomatic fleet moved closer, Dr. Patterson knelt beside his daughter. "Maya, are you sure you're okay with this?" Maya looked down at Badger, who was calmly observing the approaching ships. "Badger says they're curious, not scary. And maybe if they understand about protecting families, other kids won't get taken by bad people." Dr. Patterson marveled again at his daughter's wisdom. At 8 years old, she was already thinking about preventing what had happened to her from happening to others. "All right," he said, "but we do this on our terms, and if you get uncomfortable, we stop immediately." "Okay, Daddy." Captain Chen activated the communication system. "Ambassador, you may dock with our ship. However, the child will remain on our bridge, and her companion animal is not to be approached directly without explicit permission." "Understood completely, Captain. We bring gifts of gratitude, not threats." An hour later, the Bridge of the Harmony had been transformed into an impromptu diplomatic reception. Representatives from 6 different species had gathered to meet Maya and observe Badger, all maintaining respectful distances and speaking in hushed, reverent tones. Ambassador Veltar knelt gracefully near Maya's chair, his crystalline form reflecting the bridge lights in beautiful patterns. "Young Maya, we understand that you showed mercy to those who would have harmed you. This is unusual among many species." "It's not unusual for humans," Maya replied. "We believe people can change if they want to." A reptilian diplomat from the Saurian collective leaned forward slightly. "And your companion, this honey badger. It fought to protect you despite being vastly outnumbered. This level of loyalty isn't just loyalty," Dr. Patterson interjected. "It's love." Badger didn't fight because he was trained to or because he was programmed to. He fought because Maya is his family, and honey badgers protect their families no matter what. Badger, apparently understanding that he was the center of attention, stood up on Maya's lap and chittered once before settling back down. The assembled aliens watched this simple action with fascination. "Among our people," said a tall, ethereal being from the Ascended Collective, "such bonds are forged through complex mental links and years of careful conditioning. Yet this creature chose to defend the child through simple affection." "Not simple at all," Maya corrected. "Love is the most complicated thing in the universe. It makes you do things that don't make sense, like fighting 6 big scary aliens when you're tiny. But it also makes sense because protecting people you love is the most important thing ever." The assembled diplomats exchanged glances, and Dr. Patterson could see understanding dawning in their various features. "The human response to your distress call," Ambassador Veltar said slowly. "It was not strategic or political. It was the same protective instinct, scaled to your entire species. Exactly, Captain Chen confirmed. When humans heard that a child and her honey badger were in danger, every human in range responded as if it were their own family being threatened. Remarkable, whispered the Saurian representative. A species-wide protective network based on emotional bonds rather than legal obligations. Maya looked around at all the aliens studying her and Badger with such intense curiosity. Do your people not protect their babies? We do, Ambassador Veltar assured her. But not with the intensity that your species has displayed. The coordination, the immediate response, the sheer number of vessels. That's because all human children are everyone's children, Maya explained patiently. And all human families are everyone's families. So when someone hurts one of us, they hurt all of us. The bridge fell silent as the implications of that statement sank in. Dr. Patterson watched the alien diplomats processing this concept, seeing the exact moment when they understood why humanity had reacted so strongly to one child's distress call. This knowledge, the ascended representative said carefully, it will change how many species interact with humanity. The understanding that threatening one of your children triggers a protective response from your entire civilization. Good, Maya said firmly. Maybe then, no more kids will get stolen by bad people. Ambassador Veltar stood gracefully. Young Maya, you and your companion have given us a gift today. Understanding. We will share this knowledge with our peoples. And I believe many conflicts can be avoided through this wisdom. As the diplomatic reception concluded and the various alien representatives prepared to depart, Dr. Patterson found himself in another conversation with Captain Chen. That job offer you mentioned, he said quietly. Is it still available? More than ever, Doctor. After today's events, the Interspecies Cooperation Initiative is going to be the most important diplomatic project in human space. Dr. Patterson looked at Maya, who was showing Badger the star charts on the navigation console, while explaining to Lieutenant Kim why honey badgers were the bravest animals on Earth. I think we'd like that, he decided. Maya's already proven she has a gift for helping people understand each other. Captain Chen smiled. And Badger has proven that some protectors don't need training or orders. They just need love. As the diplomatic fleet prepared to depart, their various ships formed a brief honor formation around the human vessels. It was a gesture of respect that had never been offered to humanity before, and Dr. Patterson suspected it wouldn't be the last time such respect was shown. Maya waved goodbye to the alien ships from the bridge viewports, Badger secure in her arms. Do you think they'll remember about protecting families now? I think they'll never forget, Dr. Patterson assured her. And across the galaxy, as the story of a little girl and her honey badger spread from species to species, new protocols were being written. Not military protocols or diplomatic ones, but the most important kind of all. Protocols about love, protection, and the bonds that make life worth defending. 6 months later, Dr. James Patterson stood before the Galactic Council on Luna, watching his daughter explain the finer points of honey badger behavior to a room full of the galaxy's most powerful beings. Maya sat confidently at the witness podium, Badger curled contentedly in her lap, while holographic displays showed statistical data that had changed the course of interstellar relations. And that's why Badger didn't run away even though the scary aliens were bigger than him, Maya concluded, scratching behind Badger's ears. Because when you love someone, size doesn't matter. Love makes you brave enough to do anything. The Galactic Council Chamber, a vast crystalline dome overlooking Earth's cratered surface, fell silent as the 8-year-old's words echoed through the translation systems. Representatives from 47 different species listened to this simple explanation of the phenomenon that had reshaped galactic politics. Council Arbiter Thexuna, a towering insectoid being with iridescent wings, leaned forward in her hover seat. Young Patterson, in the 6 months since your rescue, 17 separate slaving operations have been dismantled. The fear of triggering what other species now call human protective protocols has virtually eliminated child trafficking in this sector. Do you understand the significance of what you and your companion accomplished? Maya tilted her head thoughtfully. I think it means bad people learned that taking kids is a really bad idea, because humans have long memories and faster ships than most people. A ripple of what might have been laughter passed through the council chamber. Even the usually stoic Crystalline Concord representatives seemed amused by Maya's practical assessment. Indeed, Arbiter Thexuna agreed. But your impact extends beyond deterring criminal activity. The formation of the Interspecies Child Protection Alliance, the establishment of emergency response protocols across 17 star systems, the cultural exchange programs now operating on 43 worlds, all of these developments trace back to the day you sent out a distress signal. Dr. Patterson felt a familiar surge of pride as he watched his daughter handle questions from beings who represented civilizations millions of years old. Maya had adapted to her role as humanity's unofficial ambassador with the same calm determination she'd shown when facing alien kidnappers. Dr. Patterson, the Arbiter continued, addressing him directly. Would you present your final report to the Council? Dr. Patterson activated his presentation, and the chamber's displays filled with data collected over months of unprecedented interspecies cooperation. Honorable Arbiters, the Interspecies Cooperation Initiative has documented over 3,000 instances of cross-species protective behavior in the past 6 months. What began as humanity's response to one child's crisis has evolved into the galaxy's first truly universal child protection network. The data showed shipping routes being rerouted to avoid systems with reported slaving activity. Merchant vessels carrying child passengers being provided with escort ships from multiple species. Emergency response protocols that could mobilize rescue fleets across species barriers in a matter of hours. The psychological impact has been equally significant, Dr. Patterson continued. Species that previously viewed children as merely immature adults now recognize the special protection status that human culture assigns to young beings. This shift in perspective has reduced child-related crimes by 78% across monitored systems. Captain Shun, now promoted to Admiral and serving as humanity's representative to the Galactic Defense Force, stood to add her observations. The military implications cannot be overstated. What was initially seen as an overreaction to a single kidnapping is now recognized as a demonstration of humanity's strategic capabilities. When 23 ships responded to Maya's distress call within hours, it showed every potential enemy exactly how quickly humans can mobilize when our interests are threatened. A new voice joined the discussion as Captain HFY, the former slaver who had attempted to kidnap Maya, entered the chamber. Her appearance had changed dramatically over the past months. Gone were the predatory bearing and cold yellow eyes. Instead, she moved with the measured dignity of someone who had found a purpose worth more than personal profit. Honorable Arbiters, she said, her translated voice carrying an unfamiliar warmth. I speak as one who experienced humanity's protective instincts from the opposing side. In 6 months working with human authorities to dismantle slaving operations, I have learned something that no HFY had previously understood. She paused, looking directly at Maya before continuing. Humans do not merely protect their own children. They protect the concept of childhood itself. When my crew and I attempted to take young Maya, we weren't just threatening one human family. We were attacking an ideal that humans consider sacred. Maya waved at HFY from the podium. The former slaver captain had become an unexpected friend over the months, visiting regularly to report on rescue operations and occasionally bringing toys from grateful families whose children had been saved. Captain HFY has been instrumental in our success, Dr. Patterson noted. Her knowledge of criminal networks, combined with human tactical doctrine, has made our joint operations remarkably effective. The irony is profound, HFY admitted. I spent years hunting sentient beings for profit. Now I spend my time ensuring that other hunters can never threaten another child. The transformation came from witnessing 30 pounds of fur and determination systematically dismantle 6 trained soldiers because a little girl needed protection. Badger chittered once, apparently accepting the praise as his due. Arbiter Thexuna consulted her holographic notes. The economic impact of these changes has been substantial. Legitimate child transportation services have seen a 400% increase in business as families seek guaranteed safe passage. Child protection insurance has become the fastest-growing sector in galactic commerce. And tourism to human worlds has increased dramatically as other species seek to understand the cultural foundations of your protective instincts. It's not cultural, Maya interrupted politely. I mean, it is, but it's also deeper than that. Humans protect children because children are potential. They're all the good things that could happen in the future. If you don't protect potential, you don't have a future worth living in. The chamber fell silent again as this 8-year-old wisdom was processed by beings who had ruled star systems for millennia. The Ascended Collective's representative, a shimmering energy being named Luxandra, spoke in tones like crystalline bells. Young Maya, your species' response to your crisis has created what we might call a protection cascade. Other species, inspired by human actions, have begun implementing their own child protection protocols. The galaxy has become measurably safer for young beings of all species. Dr. Patterson activated another display showing the cascade effect. We've documented protection initiatives among 37 different species, all inspired by humanity's response to Maya's kidnapping. The Saurian Collective has established emergency response fleets. The Crystalline Concord has created sanctuary worlds for endangered children. Even the typically isolationist Void Wanderers have begun sharing intelligence about slaving operations. And it all started because Badger wouldn't let the bad people take me, Maya added with the matter-of-fact tone she used for self-evident truths. Admiral Chin stepped forward for her concluding remarks. Honorable arbiters, the events of 6 months ago demonstrated something that military strategists and diplomats had not fully appreciated. Humanity's greatest strength is not our technology or our tactical flexibility. It's our willingness to treat the protection of children as a species-wide imperative that transcends all other considerations. This creates both opportunities and obligations, Arbiter Thexuna observed. Other species now understand that threatening human children is tantamount to declaring war on humanity as a whole. But humans must also understand that this reputation creates expectations. The galaxy now looks to humanity to lead child protection efforts across all systems. Dr. Patterson nodded. We accept that responsibility gladly. The Interspecies Child Protection Alliance has formally requested that Earth become the headquarters for galactic child welfare operations. And Maya has agreed to serve as our youth ambassador, Admiral Chen added with a smile. Provided that Badger approves of the security arrangements. Maya looked down at her honey badger, who was now thoroughly asleep in her lap despite the importance of the proceedings. Badger says Luna has excellent security, and the artificial gravity feels just right for proper honey badger patrol routes. The council chamber erupted in the various species equivalents of laughter. The sight of an 8-year-old girl consulting a sleeping honey badger about interstellar security arrangements was apparently universally amusing. As the formal session concluded and the various representatives began filing out, many stopped to speak with Maya personally. The Crystalline Concord's ambassador presented her with a small crystal that would grow and change colors as she matured, a traditional gift for honored children. The Saurian Collective's representative offered Badger a collar made from scales that would provide protection and environmental adaptation. Dr. Patterson watched these interactions with wonder. His daughter had become a bridge between species, helping diverse civilizations understand the power of protective love. And she did it all with the simple confidence of a child who knew she was safe because someone small and fierce would always stand between her and harm. Dr. Patterson, Captain Zoyaxthara approached as the crowd thinned. I have a final report from our latest operation. Good news, I hope? The Outer Rim slaving network is completely dismantled. 47 children recovered, all safely returned to their families. The slavers surrendered without fighting when they learned that human ships were en route. Dr. Patterson smiled grimly. The honey badger effect. Indeed, word has spread that humans respond to child endangerment with overwhelming force, and that human companions fight with supernatural ferocity. Most criminals now consider child trafficking too dangerous to attempt. Maya looked up from examining her new crystal. Captain Zyaxthara, are you happy now? The former slaver considered the question seriously. Yes, young Maya. For the first time in my adult life, I sleep without nightmares. Saving children feels infinitely better than stealing them. I'm glad, Maya said simply. Everyone deserves to be happy. As they prepared to leave the council chambers, Dr. Patterson reflected on how much had changed since that terrifying day in the asteroid field. Maya had grown more confident and articulate, though she remained fundamentally the same compassionate child who had offered forgiveness to her kidnappers. Badger had become something of a galactic celebrity, his image appearing on child protection posters across dozens of worlds. And humanity itself had found a new role in the galaxy, not as conquerors or traders or explorers, but as protectors, the species that would drop everything and mobilize fleets when children were threatened. "Daddy," Maya said as they walked through the lunar corridors toward their transport, "do you think Mama would be proud of what we did?" Dr. Patterson knelt down to his daughter's level, just as Captain Chun had done 6 months ago when Maya was scared and alone on a damaged ship. "Maya, your mother would be amazed by your courage, humbled by your wisdom, and incredibly proud of the person you're becoming." Maya hugged him tightly, Badger squeezed between them, and purring with contentment. "I miss her. I know, sweetheart. I miss her too. But I think she would say that we honored her memory by protecting other families the way we wished someone could have protected ours." As their transport lifted off from Luna's surface, Earth hanging like a blue jewel in the starfield beyond, Maya pressed her face to the viewport and watched the traffic patterns of ships from dozens of species. Cargo haulers, passenger liners, diplomatic vessels, and patrol ships all moved in the complex dance of interstellar commerce. But she also noticed something else. Escort vessels, ships from different species traveling together for mutual protection. Emergency response fleets stationed strategically throughout local space. The galaxy had reorganized itself around the principle that children deserved protection, and that protection was everyone's responsibility. "Look, Badger," she whispered to her sleeping companion. "We made the universe safer." Badger chittered in his sleep, dreaming perhaps of cosmic threats defeated and cosmic families protected. Dr. Patterson settled into his seat and reviewed the reports from their next assignment. 3 more sectors had requested human assistance in establishing child protection protocols. A dozen species wanted to study human family bonding behaviors.